The heavy oak door groaned as Captain Daniel Reed stepped into his quiet home, expecting the familiar warmth of family life after a long deployment. Instead, an uneasy silence greeted him, a silence that spoke volumes of something gone terribly wrong. The once comforting scent of lemon polish was now shadowed by an inexplicable tension, and every fiber of his being warned him that something was amiss. As he moved cautiously through the dimly lit hallway, a faint whimper from the kitchen broke the stillness. With his heart pounding, Daniel braced himself for a discovery that would shatter his assumptions about home and family. In that moment, the scene before him was more than just a sign of neglect. It was a call to uncover the truth behind the silence. Welcome to Acts of Kindness Stories, where today's narrative takes you on an emotional journey of courage, revelation, and the unwavering bond of family. Stay with us as we delve into a story that challenges every notion of trust and resilience, inspiring us to cherish and protect what truly matters. Captain Daniel Reed's heart pounded as he stepped through the front door into a silence that spoke of secrets too heavy to bear. The familiar scent of lemon polish, once a mark of home and comfort, now mingled with an unsettling aura of neglect. His long months overseas had honed his instincts, and nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to face. As he moved through the dim corridor of his home, a soft whimper from the kitchen broke the oppressive quiet, a cry that carried the weight of years of suppressed sorrow. In the kitchen, he discovered his daughter, Emily, huddled on a thin mattress on the cold floor. The makeshift bed, arranged with carefully folded clothes and a few schoolbooks, was a stark testament to the isolation she had endured. Emily's eyes, brimming with tears and fear, met her father's in a silent plea for help. In that fragile moment, every unanswered question and every painful memory merged into one crushing reality. Something in their family had been deeply, deliberately broken. Over the following days, Daniel began to piece together the evidence of a systematic campaign against the one person who had remained his lifeline, a daughter who had inherited her late mother Rachel's golden warmth and her own resilient spirit. The weeks of missed letters, each one penned by his own hand with words of love and reassurance, told a story of communication that had slowly been eroded. Every envelope, marked with the familiar postmark of his absence, revealed that someone had intercepted them. The truth was as cold as it was shocking. The woman who had stepped into their lives to fill a void, Rebecca, had been isolating Emily from him, manipulating every detail of their home life. It wasn't just the lost correspondence that painted the picture of betrayal. On the kitchen wall, Daniel noticed a calendar dotted with red X's, marking the dates of Rebecca's repeated weekend trips that coincided with the days when Emily was left completely alone. In a small bundle of envelopes tied with a faded blue ribbon, hidden beneath a mattress, Emily had secretly preserved the letters that never reached her. They were meant to be a lifeline from her father, a steady reminder of a love that stretched across oceans and battlefields. But now, these unopened letters testified to a calculated effort to sever that connection, to erase the very words that once bound them as a family. A ray of hope, however, shone through the darkness. In the midst of this turmoil, a caring neighbor and high school English teacher, Ms. Grace Turner, emerged as an unexpected guardian for Emily. Miss Turner had been a quiet, watchful presence, one who would often bring a warm casserole dish and a kind smile when the silence in the household grew too thick. She had seen the late-night glow of a flashlight through the kitchen window and had reached out, leaving not just food, but small notes and textbooks that Emily needed for her schoolwork. Her steady presence became the only thread of genuine care in a home that had slowly transformed into a battleground of emotional warfare. Through discreet conversations and whispered messages passed under the kitchen door, Miss Turner revealed that her attempts to alert authorities had been thwarted by Rebecca's well-connected position within the local school board and community. Rebecca, once known for her empathy as a school counselor, had used that very empathy to disguise a darker intent, to isolate Emily and control the narrative of their family life. Every intercepted letter, every fabricated excuse for Emily's isolation, was part of a larger plan to dismantle the familial bonds that Daniel had fought so hard to nurture. Determined to reclaim his daughter's life, Daniel meticulously gathered evidence. Late one night, he documented the dismal state of the kitchen, its harsh fluorescent lights casting long shadows on a makeshift bedroom, a room where a young girl had spent countless nights in solitude. He photographed every detail: the neatly stacked plastic bins containing Emily's sparse belongings, the marks on the calendar that traced a timeline of deception, and the handwritten notes left by Emily's brothers, Ethan and Noah, which revealed their own silent struggles. Ethan, at 17, had assumed the role of protector, his eyes conveying a quiet fury at the injustice he had witnessed. Noah, younger yet wise beyond his years, had expressed his distress through simple, raw messages. Notes that spoke of missed meals, cold nights, and the creeping fear that they were losing their sister, and themselves, to a web of manipulation. The narrative of their unraveling family life grew even more disturbing with every piece of evidence Daniel uncovered. In Rebecca's private office, a room she had meticulously kept hidden from the prying eyes of the community, Daniel found transfer papers and custody forms that detailed a plan to permanently remove Emily from his care. Rebecca had been orchestrating a move to relocate the children to a new private school in a distant state, isolating them from the very memories of their past that bonded them together. The papers were stamped with official seals and dates that showed a calculated timeline, one that was rapidly closing in on the moment when the family's unity would be irrevocably shattered. Amid the mounting evidence, a hidden compartment in Rebecca's filing cabinet revealed even more unsettling records: a leather-bound journal and a stack of medical documents dating back over 15 years. These records chronicled Rebecca's own tumultuous past, a history marked by deep-seated abandonment issues and a severe, untreated mental illness that had gradually eroded her ability to discern reality from a warped fantasy. Her descent was painfully documented in entries that began with measured strokes of a pen, but grew increasingly erratic and desperate. The journal detailed her mounting fears that Daniel's long absences were deliberate acts of abandonment, that every affectionate word he wrote to Emily was a betrayal, and that the only way to preserve her own sense of control was to erase his presence from their lives. As Daniel pored over the documents, the magnitude of Rebecca's betrayal crystallized before him. This was not merely a case of family discord or the natural strain of a long-distance deployment. It was a deliberate campaign of psychological manipulation, one that had slowly stripped Emily of her identity and replaced it with a carefully constructed narrative of neglect. Every missing letter, every fabricated excuse, had been a brick in the wall that Rebecca had built around the children, isolating them from the only parent who had ever truly loved them. In the midst of this turbulent revelation, the role of Ms. Turner became even more crucial. She had not only provided immediate physical sustenance in the form of food and textbooks, but she had also been the one to collect Ethan and Noah's discreet notes, small tokens of rebellion and hope that testified to the children's inner strength. One note in particular revealed the heartbreaking truth. Ethan had been leaving messages through the crack in the wall, urging Ms. Turner to check on Emily during thunderstorms, while Noah had discreetly slipped his desserts beneath the kitchen door, small acts of defiance against the oppressive regime within their own home. These were not just gestures of kindness. They were silent protests against a system that sought to dismantle their family one day at a time. With each new discovery, Daniel's resolve grew stronger. He began organizing a plan not just to confront Rebecca, but to rescue the very essence of his family. He reached out to an old family friend, Judge William Harrison, a man known for his fair judgment and commitment to protecting the vulnerable. Together, they strategized an emergency custody order, one that would grant immediate protection to all 3 children. In Daniel's study, surrounded by the damning evidence of financial irregularities, altered school records, and Rebecca's own journal entries, every document reinforced a painful truth. The home he had returned to was no longer a sanctuary, but a psychological war zone in which his children had been trapped for far too long. As the hour of confrontation neared, tension gripped every corner of the once beloved home. Ethan and Noah, aware of the undercurrents of betrayal, prepared themselves for the coming battle, one that would force them to choose between the world they had known and the possibility of a future free from manipulation. In the background, Ms. Turner, ever watchful, continued her discreet support, arranging safe havens and quietly alerting local authorities of any suspicious activity. Her unwavering commitment to the children's well-being served as a reminder that even in the darkest times, the light of genuine care could break through. When the fateful morning finally arrived, Daniel's home was transformed into an impromptu command center. Every detail had been recorded, every piece of evidence catalogued, ready to be presented to the legal system and to expose the calculated cruelty that had defined the past several months. The confrontation that ensued was not one of raised voices or physical violence, but a quiet, determined reclaiming of truth. As Rebecca entered the house in a flurry of controlled panic, the carefully constructed facade of her life began to crumble. The children, whose faces had long been marred by fear and isolation, looked to their father with a mixture of relief and cautious hope. In that charged moment, Daniel spoke not only as a military man, trained in the art of strategic planning and threat assessment, but as a father whose love had never wavered. He laid out the evidence: photographs of the cold kitchen floor, the intercepted letters, the hidden financial statements, and the journal entries that mapped Rebecca's psychological decline. Every piece of the puzzle was presented with a calm determination that belied the tumult of emotions swirling within him. The confrontation was not about revenge, but about reclaiming the narrative of a family that had been manipulated into silence. Rebecca's eyes, once sharp and calculating, softened with the dawning realization that her carefully maintained control was slipping away. The room, filled with the tangible remnants of a carefully orchestrated deception, resonated with the unspoken promise of a new beginning, a promise that the bonds of family, once thought irreparably broken, could be mended through truth and love. The children, Ethan and Noah, stood silently by, their expressions a mixture of defiance and sorrow as they absorbed the full measure of their mother's betrayal. Their quiet strength, forged in the crucible of adversity, radiated in the small acts of unity they shared. A reassuring touch here, a shared glance there, that affirmed their commitment to one another. Throughout this harrowing ordeal, Miss Turner remained a steadfast presence, a living testament to the power of kindness and community support. Her discreet intervention had provided the only escape from a life marked by isolation and emotional abuse. With every piece of evidence that Daniel uncovered, she validated the silent cries of a young girl and the unspoken messages of two brothers who had long yearned for a sense of normalcy. In her role as both protector and educator, Ms. Turner demonstrated that genuine care could stand against even the most calculated of manipulations. As the day unfolded, the legal and emotional groundwork for the children's recovery was set in motion. The emergency custody order, meticulously prepared by Judge Harrison, was just the first step toward restoring balance in a home where truth had been obscured by a web of deceit. In the hours that followed, Daniel worked tirelessly to ensure that every piece of evidence was safely recorded and that each child's testimony was heard. His efforts, driven by an unyielding determination to protect what remained of his family, were complemented by the quiet strength of Ethan and Noah, whose own notes of defiance and hope had become vital threads in the fabric of their shared story. This period of intense revelation and confrontation marked a turning point, a moment when the children's silent suffering was acknowledged, and the full scope of Rebecca's manipulation was laid bare. In the face of overwhelming betrayal, the family began to see that their unity was not dependent on the lies that had once bound them, but on the undeniable truth of their shared love. Each document, every intercepted letter, was not just evidence of abuse, but a catalyst for healing. The narrative that had been written in isolation and fear was now being rewritten in the light of accountability and compassion. In the midst of this turmoil, Daniel's resolve was unshakable. His voice, steady and resolute, resonated with the weight of a father who had returned home not just to reclaim his daughter, but to restore the integrity of a family torn apart by deceit. The evidence was irrefutable, a trail of carefully hidden records and manipulated communications that revealed a systematic campaign designed to sever the bonds of familial trust. Yet, even as the truth emerged, the underlying message was one of resilience. The children, whose spirits had been dimmed by months of isolation, were now beginning to see a future where their pain could be transformed into strength. The unfolding events served as a stark reminder that while the scars of betrayal run deep, the capacity for healing lies in the courage to confront the past and rebuild anew. In this battle for truth, every detail mattered, from the faded ink on unopened letters to the meticulously recorded financial transactions that traced the path of a calculated abuse. The family's journey was not one of simple resolution, but a complex process of rediscovering the essence of what it meant to love and be loved unconditionally. As the evidence continued to mount, Daniel and his children stood together, united in the shared understanding that they would not allow the darkness of the past to dictate their future. With each carefully documented fact and every whispered word of support from Ms. Turner, they began to reclaim their narrative. In that shared space of vulnerability and determination, the once fragmented family discovered that the strength of their bond was greater than any attempt to tear it apart. In this pivotal moment of confrontation and clarity, the true lesson emerged: the importance of recognizing and acting upon the signs of emotional manipulation before they can irreparably damage the bonds of love. The experience underscored an enduring truth, that even in the face of profound betrayal, the commitment to protect one's family can ignite the spark of resilience, transforming pain into a powerful catalyst for change. This is the heart of the story shared on Acts of Kindness Stories, a journey through the darkness of deception into the light of truth, where every act of courage and every whisper of hope becomes a step toward a future defined not by the wounds of the past, but by the healing power of love, unity, and unwavering determination. In the wake of that fateful confrontation, a new day broke over the home, a day that signified not just the end of deception, but the beginning of healing. Captain Reed stood with his children in a space transformed by truth and resilience. The evidence of past manipulation now lay behind them, replaced by a determined commitment to rebuild what had been nearly shattered. In the quiet moments that followed the storm, conversations emerged, honest and raw, about the pain of betrayal and the promise of a brighter future. As the family gathered around a modest table, their expressions carried both the scars of past hurt and the hope of new beginnings. Ethan and Noah, once burdened by the weight of silent suffering, now looked to their father with trust renewed and hearts ready to embrace healing. Emily's tear-stained face gradually gave way to a smile, a small yet powerful signal that she was ready to step into a future where love would no longer be masked by manipulation. The turning point was not marked by grand gestures or explosive outbursts, but by the quiet resolve of a family determined to protect one another. With the support of Ms. Turner and the guidance of trusted professionals, they began the slow, deliberate process of reclaiming their identity and dignity. Each document, each recorded note of defiance, had played a part in revealing a truth that, though painful, set the stage for recovery. In this moment, the family realized that the bonds of love are not so easily broken. They are forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by the courage to face the past. In the days that followed, every step towards recovery was a testament to their resilience. Their home, once a silent battlefield of hidden sorrows, gradually filled with genuine warmth and laughter. Conversations that had long been silenced by fear were now replaced by expressions of gratitude and hope. The scars remained, serving as reminders of the journey they had endured, but they were now symbols of a hard-won victory. A victory over isolation, deception, and the forces that had tried to tear them apart. Today, as we share this story with you, we are reminded that every act of kindness and every effort to protect those we love contributes to the powerful narrative of family and community. The courage of Captain Reed and his children shows us that even in the darkest moments, there is a light that can guide us toward recovery and renewal. Their journey teaches us the value of speaking up against injustice, the strength found in unity, and the transformative power of truth and compassion. If this story has touched your heart or inspired you in any way, we invite you to join our community. Please like, share, and comment below with your thoughts on this remarkable journey. Your support not only helps us spread a message of hope and resilience, but also encourages others who might be facing their own battles. Help us reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers for Acts of Kindness Stories new by subscribing to our channel. Together, we can build a community that celebrates the strength of family, the power of kindness, and the incredible ability of the human spirit to overcome even the most challenging obstacles.